Hi guys. So in my previous video where I was talking about the whole Sindibale situation, I said that the charity was started by Princess Diana. I read somewhere that it was started in her honor. So I think I got my wires crossed when I made the video. That's the first thing. The second thing is that in my neck of the woods, right, the streaming platform that most people patronize is the local streaming platform because relatable content is more preferred in our parts than escapism content, right? So the local streaming platform contains a lot of local content, which is then relatable to the lifestyle of the majority of people that live, in South Africa. So the with Love Megan, as much as I love it, and I know a lot of people here watched it, it's not as, it's not trending as much as it is in other parts of the world. So most people wouldn't know if I said Meghan Sussex because they know her as Meghan Markle, because a lot of them, especially the guys, haven't watched the show, right? So that's why I refer to her as Meghan Markle, not because I'm disrespectful to her and her family, but just so people know what I'm talking about, because that's the name that they recognize. So if I offended anybody, I'm sorry about that. Today, I want to talk about the whole situation around our justice system and the whole situation around our courts, right? So we've seen it's been a rough 7 days or so in the country. A 7-year-old getting raped at school, right? And the mother struggling for months to get justice, to even get recognition and acknowledgement of the case. So the mother reports this happened around October 2024. The child gets raped at school while she's apparently unconscious. The mother reports the matter to the principal, and the principal then decides that the best course of action is to expel the child, right? And during this time, the only two male people around the child, which is the transport guy and the caretaker at the school, happily agreed to take in DNA samples so they can be excluded as the perpetrators of this crime. The principal refuses, only for the mother to go to social media. And now, in March, April 2025, almost 6 months later, or even over 6 months later, we find out all of this stuff. And then some people do some digging and actually realize that the principal was allegedly accused of how do I call it, abusing children in his past positions. Apparently, he was a teacher or in a teacher-like position a few years ago, and he went on a trip with a few children, and within a day or that evening, a lot of the children called their parents because they said he was allegedly touching them. And that whole thing apparently got swept under the carpet. And now this guy is a principal at a school, and his course of action when a mother, complains that her 7-year-old daughter, 7-year-old daughter has been raped, his course of action is to expel the child, right? So this is what is happening. So this mother is a part of the SAPS, the South African Police Service, and she's struggling to get justice for her child, right? She works at the SAPS apparently, and she's struggling to get justice for her child over 6 months in, right? And then when you're still thinking about that, on the day that where the country is up in arms over the rape of the 7-year-old child, this so-called pastor Omotoso, who was using a church, or his church, allegedly using his church as a front to traffic 16-year-old girls for sexual exploitation, right? Where some of these 16-year-old girls that are now grown bravely came forward. One of them specifically came forward to testify and put, her ordeal, her entire ordeal, as humiliating as it was, in front of the court. And I believe the entire thing was televised, so the whole country saw her bare her all. In terms of what she experienced with this pastor. And this guy and the two women that were helping him traffic these girls have now been acquitted, because apparently the state did not present a strong enough case to the point where even when the defense's witnesses testified, the state didn't even do much to challenge their testimonies, right? So the whole thing was just lax. We're just going about our job. We'll see what happens, to the point where the judge, in her ruling, chastised the state, the prosecutors, for doing an incredibly bad job in a country where GBV is gender-based violence is a crisis, a crisis. So you have 7-year-old little girls getting raped. You have traffickers, right, getting away with 32 counts, acquitted on all 32 counts that they were charged with, and the victims have to go home without any justice. And on top of this, apparently in this Omotoso case, the whistleblower was murdered 2 weeks ago while sitting in a car. She was shot in the head. So it just goes to show you that women in this country are completely alone, right? So you wonder, what kind of justice system is this? You can't even wrap your head around it, right? So I look at the situation, and then I'm busy scrolling on a social media platform, and a user also points out that a young prosecutor, right, is in court for corruption charges for accepting a 70,000 Rand bribe in order not to enroll a case related to gender-based violence. So you scratch your head and you're thinking, what is happening in this country? Like the culture of graft is so deep that people will stand in the way of people getting justice for heinous crimes. So I thought about it, and I thought, okay, well, I have an experience with this, so I'll share my little experience. It's not as heinous as all these other situations, but it paints a picture of what we're facing. Right. So last year, sometime, I was handling a matter of my own where somebody's trying to wrangle an asset from me, and they approached the High Court to do that. Right. So I got served with papers, and then I got a notification in my email that this person has scheduled a case. So I check where this notification is coming from, and I see that it comes from a platform called Court Online, right? So I'm intrigued, and I'm thinking, oh wow, there's finally a digital platform being utilized in a government department, right? So I'm thinking, okay, then we're getting somewhere, because digital platforms actually do a lot in helping, in societal issues, in helping public institutions deliver their mandates to the public that they serve. So when I looked at this platform, I thought, wonderful, this is something. So I move my attention from this frivolous matter that this person has brought forward, and I start playing around with this platform. I create an account. I'm able to log in. I'm able to view the case, see the case number. I'm able to see all the documents that this person has submitted to the case. And then it also gives me the opportunity to submit my own documents to notify the court that I intend to defend the matter, and provide my written statements, and also provide my evidence, right, in the matter. And I'm thinking, my gosh, this is fantastic, So I read up on this platform, and every internet search that I get says that this Court Online platform was put in place to make the judiciary more accessible to the public. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this is so good. I'm very happy about this. This is wonderful. And I'm also thinking, those of you who know me would know that I have a learning platform called KE Learning Online. So I'm thinking, once I'm done with this process, I'm actually going to develop course material, to teach people how to access the judiciary, and how to defend their rights, and as using this system as a tool to defend themselves without wasting the court's time, right? So I'm thinking, this is wonderful. So I do everything that I'm required to do. I put in my notice to intend to defend. I put in my statements, and I put in my evidence. Everything is great, and then the court date that's coming up, the other party withdraws the case. I'm thinking, I'm hypothesizing, because I think, because they thought that the court action would scare me off. And now that I'm intending to defend myself, they're thinking, okay, now we have to really go back and think about how we're going to present this case, if at all, right? So, fine. So, in my head, I'm thinking once I've got all of these other things out of the way that I'm working on, and once, this process wraps up, then I'm going to come back and lay out how this whole process works around using this court online platform and the associated platform called Case Lines, to benefit the public, right? Because we know in this country, most people, or let me just say many people cannot afford a lawyer. Let's be frank, right? So a lot of people, when you go at them with a lawyer, they capitulate, even when they're the ones in the right. And that's how injustice keeps, carrying on. So the difference between using the system and defending oneself and not using the system is a person not being able to defend themselves at all. The alternative is not them getting a lawyer, because in most cases, most people can't afford a lawyer, right? Even I myself, I thought, okay, I'm an entrepreneur in Cyril's economy, right? That has a vibe of anti-black business flavor, which I'm in the process of unpacking. Then I don't have money lying around for a lawyer, especially for a frivolous matter that I can handle myself, right? So let me go through the process myself so that I can educate others. So for a lot of people, it's not a lawyer is not an accessible thing. People just generally don't have disposable income lying around, to just hire a lawyer because somebody decided to take chances with them over something, right? And they thought, okay, them getting a lawyer's letter will scare them into capitulating and giving that person what they want, even though they don't legitimately own that said thing or whatever the situation may be. So that's fine. Okay, cool. Time goes on. So now, recently, I found myself having time on my hands, and I'm working around a few platforms that I'm thinking about. And I'm thinking, okay, well, let me go back to the whole court online situation and see how that's going. So I log into the system, and lo and behold, there is a new court date that's been set. I don't know anything about that. They are papers that have been uploaded by the other party that haven't been notified about previously. Any paper that the other party or I put into the system, all parties will be notified. There's a number of documents that this other party has submitted into the system. I don't know anything about it, right? So I start downloading all of these documents and reading them, right? So, and a very interesting theme comes out. So what the other party is doing is they're saying all my other previous statements should be disregarded because they're not in the right format, right? And then only their documentation should be considered, right? Which, if you think about it, there's new documents that they have submitted that I have not responded to, right? So if now the court discards any statement that I've submitted, there's effectively no retort from me. So I don't know of the court date. I haven't been served with any documentation. This new documentation, a whole bunch of it that I haven't been served with. So I'm ignorant of, and would have continued to be ignorant of if I hadn't just decided on a random day to log on to the system, right? And then I think, okay, let me read through this thing. And I think, okay, well, I have all the pieces of documents that could retort all of this stuff that's been written here, which I view to be nonsense. But let's not get into that. That's not the key message. So I view the content and I think, okay, let me submit the official documentation that will serve as evidence to retort against all of this untruths that I have been put into these new documents that I have not been notified of. Fine. I cannot do that. I'm not allowed to do that. What's going on?